while Americans are suffering in the middle of this pandemic where Congress has neglected them and refused to give them the robust economic relief that they desperately need, PragerU has other priorities in mind, namely defending a Robert Lee statue that's been removed from the US Capitol. The fine people over at PragerU are really upset that we would do something like this to Robert E. Lee, a Confederate who was a traitor to our country, all so he can maintain slavery in the United States. So we broke this down into 4 different videos. Let's watch the first that tries to make the case that no, Robert E. Lee was actually fantastic because of his ties to George Washington.
Statues of great historical figures like Robert E. Lee are being torn down across America. Here are some facts about Lee that remind us why his statue should remain. Robert E. Lee was connected to George Washington through his father, Light Horse Harry Lee, Washington's cavalry commander, and his wife, Martha Washington's great-granddaughter. Lee's home at Arlington House was just 10 miles from Washington's Mount Vernon.
Oh my God, he was neighbors with George Washington? So what? I hate my neighbors. That doesn't mean anything. Like, what was that? What was that? The guy was a traitor to the country and wanted to protect slavery, okay? Using Black people as property. I don't care. I don't care if he was literally blood related to George Washington. I don't care if they were homies. I don't care if they were having beers every day. What kind of argument was that? What kind of weak sauce argument was that?
Yeah.
That was insane.
Look, guys, this video is going to get way worse, okay? But already, like, look at I want you to keep in mind what they first said, because you're about to hear some heinous things. Don't get it confused. They said those statues should remain. That's the point of this video. That great leaders like Robert E. Lee, their statues should remain. So their first argument in favor of that is he was somehow connected to George Washington. By the way, let's note, he was neighbors with George Washington, 100 years separated. How would that be relevant? But so there is one piece of relevance there. And if you're a progressive, you don't understand it at all. But if you're a conservative, you get it. Conservatives care about lineage. They care about heritage, and they care about genealogy. Like, what race are you from? What's your lineage? Where do you come from? Who are you connected to? So when you say someone is connected to George Washington through lineage, they go, good. They care about that more than they care about morality. Oh, he wanted to enslave Black people and he murdered hundreds of thousands of Americans to do that. Oh, but he was connected in the right lineage. Great, no problem. His statue should remain. Now, that's the smallest part. Wait till you see the rest.
All right, so in the next video, look, I don't want to give too much away. Let's just watch the next ridiculous argument.
After 30 years of military service, Lee led US Marines to crush the attempted slave rebellion by radical abolitionist John Brown in October 1859. 21 co-conspirators had seized a federal armory, and all of them were killed or captured, including John Brown, who was tried and hanged for treason.
He's wonderful because he was vicious and murderous toward people who were trying to free the slaves.
Oh, okay.
They put this out. No, Prager University, Cenk, they put this out. This is not satire. Like, this is real. They put this out and they thought, no, you guys, we nailed it. We nailed it.
No, the people at Prager University are deeply, deeply racist. They just said it. He proudly murdered someone who was trying to end slavery. That's why his statue should remain. But note the 2 ironies that followed. He raided a federal armory. Can you believe that? Robert E. Lee committed treason against the entire federal government. He raided the United States of America. He raided all of our federal armories. He was the leader of the Confederacy. He was their military leader. He committed treason of the most epic proportion. It literally the biggest act of treason that this country has ever seen. And did you notice the very end of that? They're like, and so of course, John Brown, who's trying to free the slaves, was hung up for treason. We killed him. Yes, Robert E. Lee murdered him for treason. But wait a minute, dude, under that same logic, shouldn't we have hanged Robert E. Lee for treason? Oops. No, instead, let's put up a statue of, oh, this guy committed treason. But it was because to protect slavery, because he despised black people and wanted to keep them as slaves and furniture for the rest of his life. By the way, like we just say slavery, right? They would rip the kids from their parents and sell them in front of the parents to someone else, and they would never see their kids again. It's not arguable.
I know, Cenk, but if we just play like super hip royalty-free music and use bold font, people are gonna get it. People are gonna be on their side. Okay, so it gets worse, believe it or not. Let's watch the next one.
Lee deemed slavery a moral and political evil in any country, but considered it a greater evil to the white man than to the black race, since blacks are immeasurably better off here than in Africa.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Why don't you take this away? I mean, I don't really have, that was insane. They thought that was a good idea.
Guys, I had to rewind the video to make sure that in the beginning, they weren't just saying, hey, this is Robert E. Lee, upsides, downsides, faults, whatever, you make your own decision. No, in the beginning of the video, they said a great leader like Robert E. Lee and his statues should remain because, remember, he said, blacks are immeasurably better off because we enslaved them.
No, okay, Cenk, but also like let's not forget the first part where he's like Robert E. Lee actually thought slavery was awful and evil when it came to white people, but was actually fantastic when it came to black people, super moral when it came to black people because they're better off as slaves here in the United States than in Africa. What?
Yeah, what? Robert E. Lee, of course, kept his slaves. Robert E. Lee led the Confederate Army who committed treason against America. If you support Robert E. Lee, you hate this country. He literally attacked us. He was the leader of the other side that attacked the United States of America, that tried to destroy our union. And guys, it wasn't the cobbler pie that they were trying to protect as part of their Southern heritage. It was 1000% slavery. And so in slavery, they raped, they lynched, they whipped, and by the way, they didn't want to do their own work. So they took other people's freedom away to force them to do their work for them by whipping them and murdering them. And America eventually said no. And so they said, no, I hate freedom so much that I will just try to destroy America and murder as many American soldiers as we can. You know which general led the army that killed the most amount of American soldiers? Robert E. Lee. It's like putting a statue of Osama bin Laden and Adolf Hitler up and going, now look, they are great leaders. And they did murder a lot of Americans, not as much as Robert E. Lee, okay? But they are great leaders for other reasons, because they were worried about what the concentration camps could do for the morality of the Germans. They were worried about the Germans. They weren't worried about the Jews. That's okay, that's good. But they were worried about the Germans. It's the same argument. All right, anyway. If
I know, Cenk, but like you're forgetting something super important. He lived only 10 miles away from Washington. Oh. Come on.
100 years later. Okay, look, guys, no, this is a perfect example, okay? Because if you are not deeply racist, you're all laughing along with us and angry. So you get it. Prager University is. Oh, by the way, you might not know this though. Let me tell you. New York Times has a glowing article about Prager. Oh, they're so popular. They're amazing how well they're doing. How lot. They've got this thing figured out. I think they're really popular. And in the middle of the article, they're like, by the way, they get $23 million a year from right-wing billionaires. So they're not at all popular. They buy almost all their views. So they get free socialism, I heard. Free 23 million. It's not an investment. It's just money. They just give them money and then go do propaganda for us. Tell everybody how much black people suck. And Robert E. Lee was great for enslaving them and murdering Americans to keep slavery. Go. And Dennis Prager's like, yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. How much money of that do I get to keep, sir? Yes, sir. What else do you need, sir? That's Dennis Prager. That piece of crap, racist Dennis Prager. That's who he is, okay? And New York Times is like, oh, he's so popular. Oh, by the way, he got all the money from right-wing billionaires, doesn't actually get any views on his own. Okay. No, and they didn't even say.
Yeah, of course he doesn't get views on his own. Who watches this crap? Who watches this crap? Like, what was that? We do have one more clip, Cenk. Do you want to watch the last one?
Yeah, sure. And then, no, but before we get there, so everybody else gets it. If you can't get it from that video, you're hopeless. That's my point. If you're a Prager U fan, which I think is Prager and maybe his mom, but I'm not sure. But a couple of brainwashed kids, right? Like, oh, Ben Shapiro thinks, and Prager thinks slavery's great. I love Prager, right? No. You can't argue that Robert E. Lee was a great man for trying to preserve slavery and still say you're not racist. You just don't get it. If you think that video is good, there's no ands, ifs, or buts. You are racist. That's the definition of racism. When you say, oh, well, I mean, the black people are inferior. Thank God for them that we enslaved them and brought them here from Africa. Otherwise, they would have been in Africa. I mean, come on, right? It's a good thing we enslaved them. You can't think that and think you're not a racist. It's not a thing. You just don't understand the meaning of words. All right, now let's watch the last part of the video.
Opposing secession, Lee foresaw no greater calamity for the country than a dissolution of the Union. But when Virginia seceded in a close vote, Lee resigned his commission. Despite offers to command Union forces, Lee opted to organize the defense of his native state. After 4 years as Confederate commander, Lee became an icon of reconciliation upon his surrender. As president of Virginia's Washington College, he favored education for freed slaves but opposed their right to vote. Lee died from a stroke in 1870 and is buried beneath Lee Chapel in what's now Washington and Lee University. His legendary warhorse Traveler rests in a plot nearby.
Oh my God!
So he was a traitor to the country, and he died of a stroke. Good job defending him.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. They say now he was offered the job of leading the forces of the United States of America. He turned it down to join the traitors. And even afterwards, did legendary reconciliation. I mean, don't get me wrong. He didn't want black people to vote. Let's keep a statue. This is a video meant to convince you to keep a statue. The only people it's going to convince him are like the Grand Wizard of the KKK. He's going to be embarrassed to support this video. He's not going to share this video. He's going to be like, God, they were a little obvious at PragerU. Like we have the hoods on so people don't see us. Prager goes around without a hood. He just does videos out in the public and where he's like, oh yeah. I mean, of course, Lee didn't want black people to vote. Yes, Robert E. Lee, let's celebrate him. But to be fair, he betrayed this country. He committed treason. He killed all those Americans. He did it so they could enslave black people. But his beloved warhorse was buried next to him.
He loved horses.
How? It's a 2.5 minute video.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Like almost every fact in there is, remember, Robert E. Lee was deeply racist. He hated America and betrayed it and despised black people, thought they were totally worthless. They shouldn't vote. They should be enslaved. They should work for him for free because he didn't want to work at all. He was the laziest guy there was. He loved to whip and murder black people. What a great guy. But he had a great warhorse, and the warhorse who also, led in battle against, maybe that's them. And I'm glad you showed that video, guys, the producers, because let's end on that hilarious irony. These guys, conservatives are like, we love America, man. I mean, unless there's somebody rebelling against America that hates democracy, then we love that guy way more, okay? We hate people who just like, no good Bernie Sanders, man. It just doesn't want to work if things are free. We can get black people to do all of our work for us for free if we just commit incredible violence against them. Yeah, I love that, man. Let's not work at all, man. Let's make black people do all the work. I love it, right? And then the final piece of it is, these libs, man, all they want is a participation trophy. If you didn't win, yeah, man, you don't get a trophy if you didn't win. By the way, let's put up a statue of Robert E. Lee because he participated in the Civil War on the wrong side and didn't win. What happened? I thought you were against participation trophies.
By the way, real quick, Brett left a note for this story and said, in the lead, This enraged the folks over at Prager U, the safety school for people who didn't get into Trump University. Like, what's up with these conservatives with these like fake universities? Like, it's just.
But that Anna, remember, I mean, we've been saying this on the show, honestly, for 18 years. They're against universities, they're against professors, scientists, now doctors, and journalists. They want to destroy everything that brings you news and replace it with propaganda from right-wing billionaires like PragerU and TrumpU. That's exactly what they want to do. And they want to brainwash you into being a racist piece of crap who gives all of his money to the richest people in the country. And they think people who are racist are really bad guys and really stupid. So it'll be easy to trick them to get them to give their money to right-wing billionaires in the form of tax cuts and deregulation and all the other tricks that we have. They're the dumbest people in the country. We should definitely get them to be our voters. On that, I have to confess, well played. Dennis Prager, nice job getting rich off of racism and robbing the American people. You are a filthy piece of crap. And I hope you enjoy the money that you have. I don't believe in heaven or hell, but if you do, brother, you got a bad ending coming your way. You're one of the worst people I've ever met in my life.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.